As we go on to topic 5.5, we're continuing with factoring. There's just a little bit of a change in that now A is no longer equal to 1. So A is going to be greater than 1. So our lead coefficient here is not going to be 1. It's going to be greater than 1. And we see some examples here. This one's 10, this one's 6, and this one is 40. And in none of these are there a common factor that will result in x being 1, the coefficient here being 1. So this is a new type of challenge we're faced with, because now we can't just say that this is going to be an x and this is going to be an x. So I've written up here in blue, the strategy that we're going to use for this is often called guess and check, trial and error. So again, those of you who are using pen for this, not a good idea, because you're going to have to try things, and then if it works, then you're going to be okay. If it doesn't, you're going to erase it and try something else. So these are longer to do, but we started with the easier ones so you could develop your skill. Now, again, this is lots of artisan work, lots of artists, lots of judgment and analysis and thinking. And one of the challenges for any kind of math is something like this. So when I look at my last term, I see a 3 there. Now an interesting thing about the 3 is prime. So I can put the 3 and the 1 right there. But now what I have to figure out, and I can put an x there and an x there. That was just all doing what we've been doing. But now what we have to determine here is which factors of 10 am I going to use? And remember, there's a 1 times 10, 10 times 1, 2 times 5, 5 times 2. And notice 1 is sign is negative, so one of these is going to be negative and positive. So a lot going on in just this first example as we use the technique of guess and check, trial and error. Now I'm going to say, because the difference is only 1 and this is a 3, that the 1 and 10s are out. So I'm going to stick with either a 2 and a 5 or a 5 and a 2. So what do I do? Well, I guess and check. So I'm going to try this first one. A 2 and a 5. And now I FOIL. This is a 6. This is a 5, and the difference is 1. Oh, I think I hit it right away. So what will my signs be? Well, this is a positive 1 here. So the outers, which will give me a positive 6x, my inners a negative 1x, I'm sorry, a negative 5. When I add them together, I get a positive 1. Okay. And then you FOIL it to check. And that one looks good. All right, let's go on to number 6. And again, we're going to see, is it in standard form? Yes. Is there any common factor we could factor out of this? And yes, here we can factor out an a. So this is going to be 6a squared minus 11a minus 10. Okay. Now again, we're guessing and checking. We need the A. And we know our A is going to be there, and our A is going to be there. Now look at the signs. This is negative, this is negative. So one of these signs will be positive, one will be negative. Keep that in mind. Now we have a 6 here, and the factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 6 and 1, 3 and 2, 2 and 3. And the factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 10 and 1, 2 and 5, 5 and 2. Wow. So a lot of guessing and trial and error going on here. Now I'm going to say that since this is a 6, this is a 10, this is 11, I don't think these are going to be involved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the lower numbers first. So let's try a 3 and a 2 there. A 3 and a 2. Okay. Now what we have to do is go in there for our 10, and I don't think these are going to be involved. And again, I'm eliminating them for now, but if these don't work, then I have to try those. So let's look around here a little bit here. If I put a 5 there, ooh, I see it. I'm going to put a 5 there and a 2 there because this is 15. This is 4, and the difference is 11. Oh, we lucked out. What will my signs be? Because that's critical as well. Well, our larger number has to be negative, so it's a negative 15. A positive 4 adds up. Okay, this is correct. And that's what we've discovered here. I'm going to move it down for this next one. Again, we don't have any common factors. It's in standard form. So 2 sets of parentheses. We know our t is going to go there and there. But now we have 40. Wow. Factors of 40. 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. And we have factors of 15. 1 times 15, and they could be reversed too. And then 3 times 5. We'll stick with those for now. Again, this is negative, so one of these signs will be negative, one will be positive. Now, since I have a 40 here, and this is 38, I might consider the 1 and the 40, but because this is 15, I don't imagine any combinations that's going to give me a 38. So I'm going to eliminate this one. That one I might think of, but I'm going to start off, let's say, with this one. Let's try it. 4 times 10. And now I have my 15 here. Again, I'm not going to use this one. Let's try the 5 and the 3 here. Reverse it. Well, I should have tried it the way I have it there first. A 3 and a 5. Now, again, if you're really good memory and can handle this, you may not have to write it out, but I'm showing you what you need to do. So this is going to be a 20, and this is going to be a 30, so I don't see it working that way. Let's try it this way here. A 5, and a, ooh, I think we hit pay dirt on that one. Yep. So my outers here are 12, my inners are 50, and the difference between 12 and 50 is 38. This is going to be it. Now take a moment and see if you can put the signs in there correctly. Remember, the middle term needs to be negative. That's the bigger one. So that would go there. And this would go there. And when I foiled it, it would check. Now again, some of these are very difficult. And we're trying to show you a strategy of setting it up in standard form, factoring out the greatest common factor, and then your guess and check, trial and error, using a pencil. And these will take longer, but that's the strategy for solving them. Now we still have the guess and check up on top, but we're kind of focusing on this. As you look at example 4, is it in standard form? No. So I'm going to factor out a 5. Well, I'll put it in standard form first. 20x squared plus 5x minus 15. Now I'm going to factor out a 5. And again, it wasn't in standard form, so I put it in standard form. It had a common factor of 5. I factored that out. Now again, the factors of 4 are 4 and 1. Factors of 2 and 2. Factors of 3 are 3 and 1. But I need to have a 1 in the middle here. But now as I look at this, 4 take away 3 is 1. I'm going to use that. So I'm going to go here with 4x and x. I'm going to go put my 3 there and my 1 there. And again, trial and error, although I have some experience, I'll admit that. I want a positive in the center, positive 1. So this will be a positive 4x. This will be a negative 3x. And there's my factorization of that. All right, let's go on to number 5. Any common factor? It's in standard form. Yes. M to the 3rd. Now I like it that I have a 2 there. That makes it a little easier because 2 is prime. So I don't know whether the 2's got to go there or there, so I have to fiddle with that a little bit here. Now I have factors of 35 are 1 times 35, or 35 times 1. Then the other common one is 5 times 7, or 7 times 5. And I want to have a positive 9 in the middle. I'm going to try the 7 times 5 here. Because if I put a 2 there, this gives me a 14 and a 5. Difference is 9. I think I hit it. And part of this is just sometimes luck. So put the 2 there. I need this to be a positive here to give me my positive 14m, a negative 5m that add up to a positive 9m. This is it. Okay, this next one, no common factor, but this one's all set up. Guess and check. 5 is prime, so that's good. 4, though, on the other hand, it could be 1 times 4, 4 times 1, and then 2 times 2. But since this number is a 16 in the middle, you see, did I copy that down right here? Ooh, sorry about that. Looking at this, this is a 15. All right, I have to challenge this a little bit. Well, the first part's the same, but this is going to be 3 times 5 and 5 times 3. I'm glad I caught that. Otherwise, I'd have been out. It didn't make sense the other way, so, okay. Now, I don't think it's going to be a 4 and a 1 because that number is so big there. So let's try, again, trial and error, a 2x and a 2x. And I don't think that's going to be a 15 and a 1, so it's going to be either 3 and a 5 or a 5 and a 3. Oh, I see it. This is going to be a 5 here, and this is going to be a 3 here. Okay, that's good. Because there's a positive 10, positive 6 adds up to 16. I'm kind of lucking out today, but these are challenging. And FOIL it. Outers, inners, I did that one. Yeah, that checks. Continuing on to number 7. Now, for something like this, it's in standard form. First term is negative. So what I'm opting to do is to take out a negative 2 out of every term. That will reverse my signs. And then check it. So this was negative, now it's positive, positive, now it's negative, positive, now it's negative, and I've taken out a 2 out of every term. Now we know my 5 is prime, so we can put that in there. So if we had a 9 and a 1, that won't work. So let's go for a 3 and a 3. And this is 15 minus 3 is 12. Okay, I think I hit on it. So this needs to be negative. This is positive. Now again, if you want to try these, and this is of course what we're looking for here, is you try it and then see it done, or see it done and then you're going to try others, as you do with your practice and then later your quiz me, and then your test on Chapter 5. Okay, for number 8, notice this is ascending. Now, could you possibly factor it in this form? Yes. You could also reverse it and take out a -1. So let's do that. So we're going to take out a -1, and we're going to reverse and put it in standard form. So this becomes a positive 25x squared. Used to be a negative, now it's a positive because I've taken out the -1. This was a negative, it's now going to become a positive. And this was a positive, now it's going to become a negative. Okay, that I think is a little bit better. So I have a feeling that that 25 is probably going to be a 5x and a 5x. So at least I'm going to try it that way. And my 12 could be a 12 and a 1. Let me put them up here. 1 and a 12. A 2 and a 6. A 3 and a 4. And these could be reversed too. Okay, I'm going to go for a 6 and a 2, I think. A 6 there and a 2 there. Actually, they could have put them in either spot depending on the signs. Okay, so I need a positive in there, so this is going to be a positive. This will be a negative, and when I FOIL it, it checks out. Okay. All right, for number 9, as I look at that, there are some common factors. I could take an A out of each term and the B. So let's take the AB out of each term. And this gives me an 8A squared minus 2A minus 15. Again, the AB stays. And again, you might think of the 1 and the 8, 2 and the 4, you could reverse them. Generally speaking, it's not the 1 and the 8. So I'm going to go with, more often, it's the 4 and the 2. Now for my 15, again, it's a 1 and a 15, a 5 and a 3. I'm going to go with the 5 and the 3, just where to put them though. Now if I put the 5 here, that's going to be 20. Nope, that's not going to work. So let's try the 5 there and the 3 there. This gives me a 12 and a 10, and the difference is 2. Ooh, today's sort of my lucky day. And again, these are challenging. I have to do them as well. So signs. I want my middle term to be negative. So the negative 12 for the outers and the positive 10 for the inners. These are my solutions. Okay. And if you FOIL it, it checks. As we look at example 10, we see it's not in standard form. There's no common factor. Now 2 is prime and so is 23. So as I look at that, are there going to be any possible combinations? And the answer is no. So this one is prime. That's not factorable. Now we're skipping a few because I don't want to make the tape too long. And again, if you have questions on any of the others, you can bring that into the tutors or wherever. So as we look at example 13, here we see that A is not 1, but A happens to be a perfect square. And the last term is a perfect square. Could this possibly be a perfect square trinomial, which we did as a special product? In an earlier lesson, we talked about squaring a binomial. This gave us square the first term. Multiply these two and double it. And square the last term. Let me check to see if we're getting that in. Yep, just getting it in there. So we said if we ended up with a perfect square trinomial, this would factor into a binomial square. This is a perfect square, this is a perfect square. We take the square root of 25, we get 5. Square root of 4, we get 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Double it, we get 20. Yes, this is a perfect square trinomial. So we could factor it in the traditional way. And we go 5c, 5c, 2d, 2d, and there we are. Now, another way to write this is 5c plus 2d, the quantity squared. I believe MathLab will accept it this way, or this is the way you should move if you recognize you are multiplying two binomials that are exactly the same. That is, you are squaring a binomial. Here we're getting into solving equations. So adding a 0 up there, that this equals 0. Quadratic equation equals 0. Again, step 1, put it in standard form. Transpose the 3. It changes its sign. And then factoring. So, we want factors of 10 here. Oh, I see it. 10x, x, 3 and 1, because that gives me a 30. Difference of 1. So this needs to be a positive, that needs to be a negative. So notice when you equal each of these to 0, this is going to be 10x minus 1 equals 0, or x plus 3 equals 0. Here, this one just becomes x equals negative 3. But here we have to bring the 1 over first. That becomes a positive 1, and then divide by the 10. So we get here, for our solution set, x is 1/10, or x is a negative 3. So again, put it in standard form. Factor out any common factor. Factor it. Equate each of the factors to 0. Solve each little mini equation. And if the x over here has a coefficient, that's going to be what you divide by after you transpose what's in this position. All right, let's do this one. This one already is in standard form. And it looks like a 3x here. Now I'm looking for a difference of 2. So this is where the 5 goes here, and the 1 goes there. And I need a positive 5x and a negative 3x to give me my middle term. So again, this step, you can do it mentally, but initially you may want to write it out. And then we're going to transpose the 5, becomes a negative 5, and then divide by 3. And this just becomes a 1. So our solution set here is a negative 5/3 and a positive 1. Okay, we're moving right along.